Welcome to the Xclaim Product Overview Training, introducing Xclaim Business Class Wi-Fi from Ruckus Wireless. There's nothing more vital to the success of your business than reliable wireless, because if you're not connected to the web, you're not connected to your customers, and if you're not connected to your customers, that can be costly. In this training session, we'll describe why the Xclaim product portfolio was created, the market it was designed for, who the target customers are, and the best applications for its use. Give a brief overview of the Xclaim product portfolio, listing the primary features and functions of each product, and recommend applications where they should be used. Describe steps to configure Wi-Fi using Exclaim by walking the user through our simple 3-step procedure on how to configure, monitor, and maintain the access points. And identify some of the frequently asked questions about the product and its configuration and what we've gathered from our customers who are purchasing and using the product. Many customers today are looking for a product that is less expensive and less complex than a high-end enterprise product, but more robust than a consumer or SOHO product. High-end enterprise solutions are expensive with many features that many organizations do not need, complex to configure and manage, and require a trained IT staff. Consumer or SOHO products are priced right but are unreliable, have limited capacity and performance, and are usually single AP solutions that have limited features that can't be managed. Exclaim is the perfect entry-level enterprise solution. It is simple to install, configure, and monitor at an affordable price with enterprise-grade features that do not require a dedicated IT staff. This is a list of key enterprise-grade features that the Exclaim APs are designed with. The Exclaim Access Points do not use a controller, and there is no requirement to load software onto a PC platform. All the Exclaim Access Points can be managed via a free cloud service called CloudManager for Exclaim, or via a free iOS and Android app called Harmony, or via the embedded web server in each access point. This presentation will focus on the Harmony app. The Exclaim APs use dynamic channel selection. This ensures that the channel that the AP is sending or receiving data on is the most optimal channel with the highest throughput capacity. It uses parameters such as the level of noise, interference, and the potential capacity measurements of the channel to choose the best channel for the radio. It constantly runs in the background, modifying and monitoring the channels to pick the best channel available in the entire spectrum. We have automatic traffic prioritization. This means that at the AP level, depending on the type of traffic, the traffic is automatically prioritized when compared with non-critical traffic. For example, voice traffic is prioritized over video traffic, which is prioritized over data. Airtime Fairness ensures that slow or legacy clients, such as those using 802.11g inside your network, do not slow down the entire network for the faster clients using 11N or 11AC radios. This ensures that the access point gives the same amount of airtime to different users or clients depending on what type of client they are. With band steering, when we have dual-band clients connecting to our dual-band Xclaim access points, if a client can support both bands, this technology will push them towards the 5 GHz spectrum because the 5 GHz spectrum has more available channels and is likely to be less congested. Client isolation prevents two Wi-Fi clients from communicating with one another but allows access to the Internet. This is beneficial, for example, in a guest or hospitality environment when you don't want unwelcome guests eavesdropping on another client's traffic. In future releases, once you enable client isolation, you'll be able to turn on another feature that will allow you to block the client from accessing any of the network resources except just the Internet. When we talk about robust security, we're talking about the fact that the Exclaim access points support WPA, WPA2 authentication with AES or TKIP ciphers, and passphrase PSK-based authentication and authorization. We have plans to integrate 802.1x based authentication in the near future. Another advantage of Exclaim access points is that we support multiple AP environments where the user can manage multiple access points with just one instance of Harmony, unlike other devices where you have to log into each and every device to configure and manage them as if they're all standalone devices. The Harmony app gives you the ability to configure and manage multiple devices or multiple access points in the environment at the same time. Exclaim allows you to have up to 4 wireless LANs per radio. Most of our access points have 2 radios, which means that we can have a maximum of 8 wireless LANs per access point. CloudManager for Exclaim is our cloud-based access point management solution. The firmware that we use on the access points makes the access points cloud-ready. Customers can choose between using CloudManager for Exclaim or Harmony to manage their Exclaim access point deployments. At the time of this recording, the Exclaim product portfolio has 2 products for management and 4 access points. The management product we'll focus on here is called Harmony for Exclaim. It is a native app available on Google Play and the Apple Store and can be installed on an iOS smartphone or iPad or an Android phone or tablet. It allows you to discover, configure, and monitor all access points in your local network. It also allows you to perform daily tasks such as upgrading the access point firmware and monitoring the attached clients. You can monitor which APs are the busiest by viewing the data throughput coming in and out of your access points, as well as a lot of other interesting features. Harmony is the primary method of managing Xclaim access points if you do not want to use the free CloudManager for Exclaim service. At the time of this recording, there are 4 access points in the Exclaim portfolio. The I in XI refers to an indoor AP. We have 3 indoor and 1 outdoor access points. The most affordable is called the Xclaim XI1. The XI1 has a single 802.11n radio which can be set at 2.4 or 5 GHz, but not at both concurrently. It supports 2 spatial streams, which gives a maximum of 300 megabits per second of Wi-Fi throughput. The primary method of powering this access point is with Power over Ethernet or PoE. Because of our power efficiency, we use the lower power consumption 802.3 AF protocol, which all PoE switches support today, so there will be no need to replace your existing PoE switches. If you do not have a PoE switch, a PoE injector is included in the box to provide power. Next, there is the XI2, which is a higher performance dual radio 802.11n access point. The XI2 supports both 2.4 and 5 GHz radios concurrently, providing a total Wi-Fi throughput of up to 600 megabits per second. The high-end indoor access point is the XI3, which supports 802.11a/b/g/n as well as the latest 802.11 AC standard. It supports 2 spatial streams for 11 AC, which gives a combined total throughput of both radios of up to 1.167 gigabits per second. We also have 1 outdoor access point which is very similar to the XI3 in the number of radios and throughput, except that it is manufactured for outdoor environments, which gives it a little different form factor and allows the optional use of external antennas. For the latest pricing information, visit the Exclaim website or contact your Exclaim partner. Now that you understand what the Exclaim products are, we'll cover the 3 steps for configuring an Exclaim access point using the Harmony app for iOS or Android. If you need instructions on how to use our free cloud service CloudManager for Exclaim, this will be provided in a separate tutorial. The first step is to install and configure the Harmony app on your iPhone or Android device. The app is free at the Apple Store for an iOS device or Google Play for an Android device. Step 2 is to set up the access point. And the third step is to configure the access point and the Wireless Lan via the Harmony app or the web UI. That's all there is to it. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. The first step is to enable your management device by installing and configuring the Harmony app. After installing the Harmony app on your iOS or Android device, the first screen that you'll get is a welcome screen. Next, it will ask you for the country you are located in. This will drive the country code that is on the access point that you will be connecting to. For example, if you select the United States, your access points will automatically get set to operate in the United States regulatory domain. If the access point is operating in worldwide mode, then selecting the country tells the access point which regulatory domain it will be operating in. If the access point is locked to a regulatory domain, it will continue operating in that, irrespective of which country code is configured. Next, the Harmony app will ask you to enter the admin password. The admin password is the key security mechanism for the customer to allow the Harmony app to manage the access points. This will be the credential that will be shared between the 2 devices to ensure that no third party can come in with their own app and manage your access points. So the password is going to be the crucial factor that the user has to set, remember it, and enter it every time the user opens up the app. This ensures that no one else can log in and manage the access points. After the user creates the password for the first time, they are prompted to create a network or SSID. The user could skip this and enter it later. The final setup screen is the configuration screen, meaning you are done setting up the app. This is the initial configuration of the Harmony app, and it allows the app to discover and configure the access points when they are powered up. Step 2 is to set up the access point. Now that you have the Harmony app ready, you need to power on the access point. The AP power options include PoE if the AP is connected to a switch, or it can be powered by a PoE injector that is provided in the box. There are some prerequisites that are required for the access point before they can be discovered and configured by Harmony. When the access point is powered up, it will need to be able to connect to the Internet. This is critical because all of our firmware updates come from the Exclaim cloud server, and it's important for the access point to have a connection to the Internet in order to check for the firmware updates on a regular basis and download them. When the access point boots up and the LED starts blinking green, it indicates that the access point is now configurable via Harmony or CloudManager. Right now, we can configure it via Harmony. An open wireless LAN called Xclaim Setup will be broadcast now. The access point is now in what we call the None mode. This means that the access point can either be claimed by Harmony or by CloudManager. In this training module, we'll talk about claiming and configuring the access point via Harmony. The Harmony app will see this Xclaim Setup SSID and will allow you to connect to the access point and configure it. Now the access point transitions into a mode known as Local. Once the AP is in this mode, the access point is only configurable via Harmony or the AP's web GUI and not CloudManager. Now we get to the most crucial part, configuring the access point via Harmony. This is how you discover and configure the access points. After setting up the Harmony app, the device running Harmony has to connect to the Xclaim Setup wireless LAN that is being broadcast by the access point. Harmony is designed to be managing the access points within your network. This means that Harmony and the access points have to be within the same Layer 2 domain. You can't have Harmony from your house trying to manage your APs at work. We need to emphasize this as many of our customers ask whether we can manage multiple sites with Harmony. When you open Harmony, it will prompt you for the password that you set up when you initially configured it. You enter your admin password. In Harmony, you have a screen that says Search for Access Points. It's using either Bonjour for iOS or SNMP for an Android device, and it will try to discover all the access points within your wireless LAN. Once it discovers an AP, it will display it on your screen. Next, you tap on the AP icon to configure it, and the configuration screen appears. You can name the access point, give it a location, select a radio channel, channel width, set the IP address, and a whole lot of other features. Once you're done with your configuration parameters, you tap Save. Once you tap on Save, the configuration gets uploaded to the access point. Now you've configured the access point, but the main step is to create your own wireless LAN or SSID. You don't want to use the default Xclaim Setup SSID because Xclaim Setup is an open wireless LAN that is only used for the initial configuration. So you'll remove the Xclaim Setup wireless LAN once you configure the access point and replace it with your own WLAN SSID. Luckily, Harmony does that for you automatically. The way that we do this is by using Harmony to create a wireless LAN by going to the Wireless LAN Configuration tab. You create a wireless LAN and give it a name and set the wireless LAN parameters that you want, such as the encryption type, turning on and off client isolation, and a lot of other features. Then you save the configuration. If you scroll down, you'll see a list of APs that have already been discovered. So when you save the wireless LAN configuration, you can assign it to one of your discovered access points. You do this by tapping on the discovered access point. This will bring up a message saying that this wireless LAN is going to be applied to the access point's radios, and the Xclaim Setup SSID will be disabled upon saving, and you'll need to connect to your new wireless LAN. This is the security feature that ensures that the Xclaim Setup SSID is no longer active once your newly configured SSID comes up. Once the access point is configured with the new SSID network, you'll be able to connect to the access point via your network and be able to monitor your network using the Harmony app. If you go to the home page on Harmony, you can open up the dashboard, which will show a high-level overview of your network, such as the most active APs, connected clients, details of the clients, and a lot of other features. This slide gives a little more detail on what is happening on the back end of the access points and helps answer questions, so you shouldn't have to contact support for additional information. It covers what happens with a brand new access point out of the box and also a previous configured access point. When the AP powers up, it needs to obtain an IP address. It can get this via DHCP or a static address. When you have a new AP out of the box which is not configured and it connects to the network, you can't set a static IP address because you're not able to manage it yet, so it will get its IP address via DHCP. This means you have to have a DHCP server in place before you set up your APs for the first time. Next, the AP will check to see if it's running the latest firmware upgrade. This is a check that our access points do every time they reboot. If it's not running the latest firmware, it's going to contact the cloud server and download the latest firmware. It will do this without intervention of the Harmony app. Once the updated firmware is downloaded, the Harmony app prompts the user to reboot the access point. This gives the user the ability to upgrade the AP's firmware at a convenient time when it's not busy. When you say yes to a reboot, the AP reboots and applies the firmware upgrade. The AP will then check to see if it has been configured. If it's a new access point right out of the box, it won't have a configuration, so it's going to broadcast the default Wireless Lan Xclaim Setup SSID and allow you to configure it as we mentioned before with the Harmony app. It can also be configured via web GUI. If you use this method, you would connect to the default Xclaim Setup SSID, then open a browser and go to the AP's IP address. You would log in with the default username and password and then set up your configurations. We would prefer users use the Harmony app or the Cloud app, but if the audience is looking for a tool for debugging, this can be a good tool. The moment you configure the Xclaim Access Point, the open Wireless LAN is removed and the new Wireless LAN Access Point settings are applied. The AP then starts broadcasting and servicing its clients. If the AP has been configured previously, it loads the current configuration and then starts broadcasting and servicing its clients. This slide shows the Harmony recommendations. Technically, there is no specific limit on the number of access points that Harmony can support. However, managing a large access point count from Harmony may delay refresh, and it may not be aesthetically pleasing on the Harmony app because the Harmony app is designed to manage a limited number of APs. Xclaim recommends 10 APs or less for each Harmony management client. The next few slides go over how to configure an Xclaim access point using the web GUI. As a note, access point configuration via web GUI is not recommended for initial configuration. We recommend you use the Harmony app or CloudManager for Exclaim for this. You can use the web GUI to manage or maintain your network later on. When using the web GUI to configure an access point, the setup is very similar to the steps of the Harmony app. Once the AP is up, the web GUI is accessed by the following procedures. Connect to the Xclaim Setup Wireless LAN or any custom wireless LAN that the AP is broadcasting. From the web browser, enter https:// and the IP address of the AP. In the login page, enter the following default credentials. The username is Xclaim-NFG. The password is MFG-admin12 or a password set by Harmony. If the access point has already been configured by Harmony, you must use the Harmony username and password that you configured. Once you log in, there is a dashboard page. On the left are the status of the device, configuration options, maintenance administration options, so you can navigate from the panel on the left side. Here are a few of the frequently asked questions that we get. Every time we have an upgrade available, we post this on the Exclaim forum. Then we frequently get the question, how do we upgrade the access point? The AP automatically upgrades twice. It checks once every 24 hours for an upgrade, or it checks for an update when it does a reboot. You can do a manual update by using the CLI on the access point if you perform an SSH into the access point using the AP's IP address. The username and password are the same that you would use for the web GUI, and once you're in, you can type FW upgrade. This will force the AP to do the entire upgrade check, download, and then it will prompt you to reboot. Another popular question is, how do we check the AP's current version to make sure I have the latest upgrade version? When using the Harmony app, after you have discovered and configured the access point, you would navigate to the AP Details section on the Harmony app and view the version number. If you log into the AP using the web GUI, you can use the dashboard, status, and device to see the version number. It can also be discovered using the CLI using the get version command. Another question that we get from more advanced users who are familiar with enterprise-grade software is, does our Xclaim access point support multiple VLANs? The answer is yes. 802.1q trunk to the AP is supported. Let's say they have a guest network and a network supporting their office clients. The ideal way to separate them would be to put them into different VLANs, and yes, our AP support different VLANs. When you configure the wireless LANs on your access point, you have the ability to associate each wireless LAN to a different VLAN on the interface into the AP. All you have to do is configure the interface as a trunk and configure the wireless LAN to VLAN mapping on the access point. One thing that needs to be emphasized is that the management VLAN on the access point has to be the native VLAN. You can have as many VLANs as possible going into the interface on the access point, but the AP itself has an IP address which is going to be its management IP, and that's going to be used by the AP's communication to the Exclaim server. So it will be one common IP address. It's critical that this IP address is in a native VLAN. Another question is, do the Exclaim APs support multicast or broadcast? Yes, they do, and we borrowed enhancement for the Ruckus technology where we have the ability to convert multicast traffic into unicast traffic in certain cases where throughput is critical. Because multicast traffic is sent at the highest basic rate, which is configured for the wireless LAN, and it's always beneficial to convert it to unicast traffic where you get more throughput out of your multicast stream. Another question that comes up frequently is what are the maximum number of wireless LANs that can be configured on the Xclaim Access Points? With the Xi1, 4 wireless LANs are supported, either for the 2.4 or 5 GHz radios since they are selectable. For the Xi2, Xi3, and the X01, 4 wireless LANs per radio are supported, which is a total of 8 per AP. Another question is what are the maximum number of devices that can connect to an access point? The maximum number of devices that can connect to the AP are 100. For the market segment where this product is being sold, this is high. Usually the upper limits are between 30 to 50. Another question is, can we restrict bandwidth usage? Along with being able to isolate clients in our guest networks, we also have the ability to apply bandwidth restrictions to the subscriber on both the uplink and downlink. We can also configure them with CloudManager for Exclaim. Other questions relate to passwords. A customer may say, I've configured my password through Harmony. I understand that Harmony and my AP have the same password. If I forget my password, how do I recover it? If you forget your password, you need to perform a factory reset on the access point, and the access point goes back to using its default password. The moment you factory reset the access point, it loses all its configurations, and you have to configure the AP all over again. But since you've configured the access point via Harmony, Harmony already has the configuration stored, so once you reconfigure your username, password, and IP address for the AP, you can use the existing configuration. This is a big benefit of using Harmony because you're removing a single source of failure on the access point. What happens if you lose your client device that your Harmony app is installed on? If that happens, first you'll have to buy a new client device, install the Harmony app, and use the same username and password, and you're back up and running. Another question is, how do we factory reset the AP? To reset the access point, press and hold the reset button on the back of the access point using the pin provided along with the AP or via Harmony or via the AP's web GUI. What happens after a factory reset of the AP? All existing configurations get deleted, the password gets reset to exclaim.mfg, and the AP needs to be re-added or reconfigured in Harmony. Can 2 devices manage an access point? You can manage an access point with 2 devices as long as they have the same password but not simultaneously. As long as the Harmony password is the same in the new device, it should be able to manage the APs. Can we manage the access point remotely via Harmony? The answer is not today. This feature is part of the CloudManager for Exclaim. Thanks for taking the time to view this training. If you have any other questions, please visit the Exclaim forum on the Exclaim website.